So, hey Virgo, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for Virgo, whenever you find it in 2026. And I actually already did the video, but I accidentally recorded it in slow-mo, and it's not going to working like that. So I recorded again, but I don't want to do another reading because this reading actually is super important. Maybe it gets a little shorter because it's already done. The first couple that I picked, I'm going to pick 10 cards. It's not the Celtic Cross. It shows up all the freaking time, in 2026 especially, with the Empress, and the Empress, tadam, is here as well, but we come to this later. There's the Nine of Cups, doing what you love to do on a freaking daily basis, not just on a Saturday afternoon, whatever, right? And on Sunday you're thinking, oh God, I have to go back to these people. That's not life, right? That's not how life should be. You do what you love to do every freaking day, and then there's a potential for wealth, abundance, and prosperity. And this aspect is restoring balance to yourself, right? So you get the Nine of Cups, divine humble pride in doing what you love to do, and maybe you neglected that aspect of yourself because you're coming from a situation, and that's the other couple here, clarified by the Death card. You get the Five of Cups here. Five of Cups is a toxic situation that you did not recognize as a toxic situation. You were super happy with your 5 cups, and you thought, yay, I'm achieving something, right? I'm getting there, right? I'm crossing that bridge. There's the little castle, the beautiful house near the lake, right? And I take my 5 cups and I bring them there, and it's going to be grand, right? But, 3 cups got spilled over, right? But the story of the 5 of Cups is that one of these cups, at least one of these cups, was very, very toxic. In combination with the 8 of Pentacles and the Death card, that speaks about an ending, a very toxic, poisonous ending of a work situation or something. So you try to build something work related, which you didn't see it back then, but there was a big toxicity connected to that. And then divine intervention, right? Past energy, that's the 5 of Wands. There's a death, right? And you moved on from that. You took what you've learned, nobody is taking away your degree, nobody is taking away your education, nobody is taking away your skill set, nobody is taking away your experience, but that plan that you had, 5 of Cups here, work related, was cancelled, right? There was an intervention, it didn't feel good at the time. There's the clarifier with the 5 of Pentacles. So you went from the 4 of Pentacles and I should say you went from the 5 of Cups to the 4 of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles, and you followed your own light to something better. And in 2026 it's all about ending cycles. In 2026 it's all about closures and new beginnings. So in 2026, we're ending a 9, respectively 10-year cycle. It's the first year of a new cycle for you and for all of us, actually. And that 5 of Cups speaks to me about Pluto in Capricorn. So you had a very rigid plan, and it almost came to fruition. You really worked on it, but then divine intervention. Why? Because something was very toxic. Whether it was toxic people, narcissistic people, antagonistic people, just freaking assholes surrounding you, taking away the joy. Maybe you were exploited, something like that, and you didn't see it. Maybe you had to pay off your freaking student debt, right? I'm a Virgo too, right? So, and you just said, okay, I do this, let's just do it. But it was very toxic and there was no joy in it. So you had to follow your light with all of that you have learned with the 4 of Pentacles. But the 4 of Pentacles is that guy, kind of the devil, so you're holding on very tight to a structure that you've built, but you're not ready for settling down. You're not the King of Pentacles. You're not at the end of the Pentacles journey. You kind of the Four of Pentacles, right? So you achieved a lot, but there's a lot missing in one aspect, and that is the bad part already out of the way now. Your inner light, right? Your inner light, your inner sparkle, doing what you love to do on a daily basis. If your Sunday is ruined because you have to go to work on Monday, then you're definitively at the wrong place. And you have to be honest about that. And maybe the universe was kind of kicking a few of your cups over because one was just so freaking poisoned. And if you neglect aspects of yourself, if you allow yourself to work and to live without doing what you actually love to do, and this is not preaching about finding your passion, that's an overstretched phrase, but just do something that is meaningful while you're doing it. And that should be happening on a daily freaking basis. And then that is restoring balance to yourself. And this is what the next 20 years, Pluto in Aquarius, is all about. No more reducing your life to fit into toxic structures, but doing what you love to do on a daily basis. There is wealth, abundance, and prosperity here with the Ace of Pentacles in its fullest potential. You're coming out of this cycle and starting your new cycle. This is about the new cycle more than it is about the last one. The last one was very toxic, as I said. Four of Pentacles, Five of Cups, not good, right? Something was missing, and what was missing? Joy and authenticity, integrity, respecting your own light and letting it shine. There's the Hermit as well. But you got this, right? You realize that. All four queens rolled into one. That's the Empress. And if you are in that mindset of speaking your truth, you don't need to command people, but you need to be honest to yourself, right? And if you sit there on Sunday and you just could puke because you have to go there on Monday, then do not deny that truth to yourself, right? Don't lie to yourself. Don't neglect your true feelings. Be true to your own feelings and say, okay, I have to change something. There needs to be joy and happiness every day. And if I, try to leave my heart and my soul at the door whenever I check into work 5 days a week, then that's not sustainable. So inner mastership, knowing yourself, being honest to yourself, being honest about how you feel, and then you're attracting someone who does the same, right? There's the Lovers, beautiful frequency, beautiful energy. And another big one, another couple, 10 cards here. There's the Hierophant, and then there's the Seven of Wands 2 times. So the Seven of Wands is basically clarified by the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands is this energy where I always say, don't jump down into the mud with the pigs. That's the first lesson of the Hierophant. That's the first lesson that you might have learned and that you're going to apply now. Do not behave like the people, the narcissists, the antagonistic people, the assholes in your life. Do not behave the same way. You might think, oh, they're totally shady, right? They deserve to get what they did to me. If you behave just like they behave, that's you becoming like them. If you behave the same way, evil is not a form, evil is a function. So if you behave like these people, you become these people. So uphold your standards. Don't jump down into the mud with the pigs, right? That's the Seven of Wands 2 times, and that's the first lesson of the Hierophant, the spiritual teacher, what you have learned in your life to the last 9-10 years, maybe since 2008. Do not behave like the people you don't like. You're better than this. Uphold your standards. And then clarify a quote, build people up. So maybe you reach down, very carefully observing the people down there, and maybe you give a helping hand to lift someone up. A real leader, a real spiritual leader, a real leader is not some authoritarian asshole who pushes others down in order to give himself the false sense of elevation. That's what weak people do. No, you don't feel threatened because other people express their highest potential. And that's what, you love to do that. That's what is sane and reasonable and good, loving, right-hearted people do. They take joy and happiness in observing other people to be their best version, right? And they don't feel threatened by that, right? So they help people to lift themselves up if they can do that, right? They're not responsible for what other people do. But if they can lend a helping hand, they do that. Instead of pushing others down to give themselves a false sense of elevation. So build people up and don't behave like the people you don't like. Super important. And if you do that, let's just do an alternative quote here in the center. Wherever the bird with no feet flew, she found trees with no limbs. So be yourself, right? And maybe the last place you were, maybe it was work related, was not the right place for you. So don't go back there, right? If it's so toxic that you can't be yourself, if it's so toxic that there's no room for joy and happiness and expressing yourself, letting your light shine, if it's constantly about pushing other people down in order to give yourself the false sense of elevation. Why the false sense of elevation? Because these people cannot lift themselves up, right? The narcissist cannot come down to your level. He needs to get you down to his level because he can't climb up there. So don't jump down into the mud with the pigs. Don't push others down. Build people up. If you feel threatened by people expressing their highest potential, what kind of a person is that? That's weakness. And wherever the bird with no feet flew, she found trees with no limbs. That's Audre Lorde. The neocortex is a garden that's here as well. The world is full of narcissists. The world is full of shady people, exploitation, stuff like that. Don't let that fact, don't be naive about it. Don't try to deny it, right? See the world with clear, open eyes for what it is. Don't become like them. Don't fight them in the sense that you go for eye for an eye. That's not a good thing. That's not what Buddhism is about, and that's certainly not what Jesus told, right? Raise your frequency and just rise above that. And anger can be a catalyst for change, right? But hatred is always a bad thing. So be a peace angel. That's the Blue Angel Oracle deck card here. The Peace Angel. And the Peace Angel is kind of goes in resonance with this quote, the neocortex is a garden. Focus on what you want to create. Don't focus on what you fight. Don't focus on what you don't like. Get yourself away from toxic people and toxic situations and toxic systems that are exploitative, that push other people down, that don't allow you to be who you are, that feel threatened if you let your light shine, That's not healthy. But joyful creation every day, resting within yourself, knowing who you are, expressing that, right? Even if your voice is shaking, speak your truth. What you feel, and don't lie to yourself. And then by all means, don't jump down into the mud with the pigs. Build people up. Empress, Hierophant, 9 of Cups. That's how you are, a peace angel in practice. Not fighting the old, building the new. Don't use your anger to fall into hatred. An eye for an eye, that's hatred. Then you become like them. But, be the bigger person. Focus on what you want to create. Happiness, gratefulness, joy. And then you're leading by example. Just because you let your light shine, you make it easier for others to let their light shine as well. And in order to do that, you have to come out of your shell a little. Maybe there is that betrayed, narcissistically abused version of yourself, right? Maybe you tried to isolate yourself because you needed time to heal, right? What I always recommend when the Four of Swords shows up, breathwork and meditation, if you have a lot of baggage that you're processing, negative energy especially. We're having a heat wave right here. So if you're charged with a lot of energy, sometimes even negative energy, right? Then you have to release that. So 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out. Breathing. 7 seconds in, 14 seconds out. The out breath needs to be 2 times that of the in breath. So releasing negativity. That's a healing process. That's a healing practice. Centers you within yourself. Opens the gateways to your subconsciousness, to divine guidance, right? To the light, so to speak. And then combine that with meditation and doing what you love to do on a daily basis. Then you don't have time to watch the news and write angry comments about, oh my God, look at these people and I hate these people and shouldn't we scapegoat these people and it's all their fault and if we just fight them then everything is going to... No, that's all bullshit. You know, you don't, that's not how it works. You know, you take care of your inner light and let it shine. And there's no time to push others down. There's no time for negation. There's no time for extremes or one-sidedness. If you're concerned primarily with letting your light shine, with doing what you love, then you are the Empress. You don't need to command other people. You're just leading by example, not pushing others down, building them up, allowing them to let them shine, their inner light shine, right? That's reciprocity. That's how it works, right? And that's the short form of the reading that was way too long anyway. So I hope it resonates. And if it does, share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. There's a summer reading, there's a yearly reading. And if you want the full picture, you can check out the sun, moon, and rising sign. And that's all I got. Now, goodbye, my friend. Ciao.